Hi, I'm 218. So let's bring it back to lines and let's quickly review slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and standard form. Now, these are the only three forms that I'm asking you to know and be comfortable with, but I do need to mention that your book has two more forms that they introduce. Okay, so your book introduces general form, which basically takes standard form and moves the c over so that the right side's equal to 0. And then they have intercept form, which kind of takes standard form and again does some manipulating and sets the equation equal to 1. So introducing intercept form, it is worth mentioning that the whole reason they do intercept form is so that your x-intercept is at a0, so here it is a0, and your y-intercept is at 0b. But again, I'm not worried about these two forms. I want to make sure you know and can work with slope-intercept, point-slope, and standard form, and that's it. Okay, so let's write the equation of this line, right? Let's really pay attention to what we are doing here. So if I want to write the equation of the line and I give you a picture, your first instinct is probably to think slope-intercept form. That's what everybody's good at. Y equals mx plus b. So I can count my slope, okay, up 1, up 2, up 3, over 2. So I've got a slope of 3/2. Okay, so great. Next, I'm going to look at my y-intercept. And here's the biggest mistake, is that people look at this and they will say it's 1, 2, it's about 2.5. You don't know that that's 2.5. So why guess and potentially be wrong? Pick a different point that you know. You don't have to start with your y-intercept. We have point-slope form, which makes a whole lot more sense. I can pick any point that's labeled that I want. So maybe I pick this point, which is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I pick the point 1, 4. Okay, so here's my info. I've got a slope, I've got a point. I don't know why our first instinct is not point-slope form. It should be. Okay, so I look at this as a big equation. Slope plus point equals point-slope form, right? Y minus my y value equals x minus my x value. And it says write the equation line. It doesn't say what form. It doesn't say it has to be in slope-intercept form. So I've got the equation line. It's in point-slope form, and I'm done. Okay, so this time's not a graph. This time I am saying write the equation in all three forms, and I'm giving you a point and a slope, but no graph. So what are we going to do? What did we learn on the last slide? On the last slide, we learned that I don't have to start with y equals mx plus b. I have to start with what makes sense. I'm given a point and a slope. So my first thought should be point-slope form. Okay, so point-slope form, and I'm 1/3 of the way done. So how do I get to my second equation, you might ask? Okay, I'm going to distribute the 2. Next, I'm going to add the 7 to both sides. And just like that, I have slope-intercept form. So form 1, I've got point-slope. Form 2, I've got slope-intercept. It did say 3 forms, so I am missing one. Oh, that's right. I'm missing standard form. So standard form isn't anything fancy. Standard form really says get your x's and y's to the same side. Okay, so subtracting my 2x to the other side, I've got negative 2x plus 1. Now standard form does have two little technicalities, but they're little ones. Okay, my two little technicalities say this. There cannot be any fractions or decimals in my equation, which I don't have, so that's not my issue. And the second one says that a must be positive. So where's a? A is the coefficient in front of x. My x value in front, my coefficient in front, is not positive. So it's a quick fix. I just multiply both sides of the equation by a -1. So I'm going to distribute that -1 all the way across, which leaves me with a positive 2x, a negative y, and a -1. And that's my standard form. So point-slope form first, convert it into slope-intercept, convert it into standard. That is my game plan almost every single time I write the equation in all three forms. So are you ready to try one yourself? Here's your first one. Okay, all three forms, I'm giving you a point, I'm giving you a slope. Pause the video and see what you can do. So how'd you do? Did you come up with the right point slope form? Okay, scratch work over here. Did you distribute the 3/5 and add the 1 over and get your slope intercept form? Okay, did you bring your x's to the left side so that x and y are together on the same side, which on mine, I made them on the left side. And then did you remember that, hey, standard form can't have fractions, so I have to clear out these 5's. Okay, standard form can't have a negative in front of x, so I have to multiply by a -1 to eliminate that negative. So I did it in one step. I distributed a -5, and that's how I ended up then with 3x minus 5y equals 7. So how'd you do? So new example. What happens if I don't give you a point and a slope? Okay, we've got it down that if I start with a point and a slope, I start in point slope form, but what happens when I give you 2 points? I need a slope. My equations, all of them, require a slope. So guess what? Step 1, I'm going to find the slope. Okay, so you might crank through your slope using the slope formula. I'm a big rise over run person. So I look here and I say from 5 to -4. I haven't actually risen. I've actually fallen, so it's kind of like a fall. I have fallen 9 units. From 1 to 3, okay, I've run 2 units. So my slope is -9/2. Okay, not ideal, but it's a slope. So now what do I need to do? I can pick either point that I want and use the slope and a point and start just like I did the last one. So for me personally, I'm picking 1, 5. Okay, why 1, 5? Because I feel that's an easier point to work with than to deal with that negative. Okay, so let's see how you did. Point slope form, slope intercept form, standard form. So quickly, let's take a look at this example. I've got 2 points, okay? What is my plan? My plan is when I have 2 points, find the slope first. So let's go for it. Okay, so my rise was 0. 5 to 5, there's no rise. 1 to 3, there's that run of 2. If a 0 is on top of the fraction, I know that 0 divided by any number is equal to 0. So as soon as I have a slope of 0, I should be thinking, hey, there's something funny here. This bell's going off in my head that says, oh gosh, let's bring it back to the vertical and horizontal lines. So a slope of 0, I don't even care if it's vertical or horizontal at this point. Watch this. I see that both points have a y value of 5. If that's true, then I'm done. I've got it. My equation is y equals 5. Now, ideally, I do want you to know that yes, that is in fact a horizontal line. But if all I'm asked to do is write the equation of it, I'm not asked to interpret it. If they have the same y value, y equals 5. If they have the same x value, then x equals whatever the number is. Okay, so quickly, I want to make sure we're clear. Y equals 5, that's the only equation I need. I don't have to have all 3 forms. I don't have to, have a specific form. On the test, on a quiz, anytime I ask you, if I say write the equation in any form, that's probably a pretty good hint that it's going to be a vertical or horizontal line. I need y equals 5, and that's it. So one last piece of advice. If I have that 2 lines are parallel, I need to know what to take from that. If 2 lines are perpendicular, what am I supposed to get from that? Okay, it is all about the slope. If 2 lines are parallel, then they have the same slope. Okay, parallel lines, same slope. But if 2 lines are perpendicular, they don't have the same slope. Their slopes are opposite reciprocals. Okay, so same slope, they must be parallel lines. Opposite reciprocal slopes, they must be perpendicular lines.